And I set it aside and went through the box. At some point I went back and looked at the picture and I turned it over and it said, 40th high school reunion. I'm serious. And I looked at my dad, he looked old, you know? And it also on the back, he went to Claremore High School, Claremore, Oklahoma, fighting zebras. I kid you not. It was a very small school, and he played football, but he also was in the band. And at halftime, he would march in his football uniform, which I found hysterical. Oh, by the way, I was supposed to talk an hour ago. There's a good chance I've been overserved. And that is not on me. There was a time on here, 8:15. It is 9:30. I saw the Strohs, I drank the Strohs. So I do remember my dad at the house in 1986 saying, man, you're on your 40th year reunion. For some reason that stuck out with me because it seemed like, man, how's that possible? And he told me, he goes, yeah, we'll be here before you know it, son. And you know what? Pops was right about that. So here we are, right? In the last couple of days, we've been hanging out, mingling. We've heard a lot of stories about friendship. Friendship goes way back. I want to share a story with you. As you know, Dusty Hill recently passed away. Some of you are big ZZ Top fans like me. And Frank Beard spoke at the funeral. Now, I won't do it in Frank's voice, but he's got a great Texas accent. He goes, you know, he could have said any story he wanted about 60 years of friendship, 50 years plus. And he told this story. He said, you know, when we were young, if I had a place to live, so did Dusty. Dusty was my best friend. If Dusty had a place to live, I know I had a place to live. One time, we were hanging out, we were broke, we didn't have any money, we were living in some crappy apartment, and we decided we wanted to go get a bottle of wine, but we didn't have any money. So we started looking in the dishes and under the cushions. We scraped enough change together that we went down to the U-Totem, which in Texas we refer to as U-Scrotum. And they bought a bottle of Boone's Farm wine and a roll of toilet paper with their money. And they were super excited to get back and drink it. Well, on the way back, Dusty Hill dropped the bag, broke the bottle of wine, ruined the toilet paper. It's like those kinds of memories, can't put a price tag on that. And for all the things that they did together, that's what he chose to share. And those are the kind of stories that we've been sharing for the last couple of days. So those two things are a little off script. I wrote some words down months ago, and I'm not sure I can even read them right now. Not because of Strohs, maybe it's the line, I don't know. I'll do the best I can, but in 1981, we were the last graduating class to spend more time of our high school days in the 70s than we did in the 80s. And even though we embraced the 80s with full-on enthusiasm, we cannot escape the roots we established prior to that time. In fact, it shaped us in the best of ways. But nostalgia can be sometimes a dangerous elixir. It can whitewash the past. It can paint history with colors that seem brighter, less dull. But the past connects us, bonds us to a time and place where the joy of our youth reminds us when life was a little more carefree, less responsible, and certainly less grown up. So by its nature, nostalgia becomes not a drug, but more like a slice of birthday cake or a hot fudge sundae, and that's okay. In fact, it's often necessary. You know, Oscoda, Michigan, our Oscoda, Michigan, it's a time and place that we all have in common here. It's our nostalgia, and it's different from everybody else's. It's a time and place only we know about, and it belongs to us. You know, back then, we learned a lot of life lessons. I once heard a phrase, not unlike spoken to me by like a Zen master to a protege. It was only 6 words. It was 1976. And that one phrase taught me a lot of things, like respecting others, consideration, generosity, and in general, leaving the world a better place than you found it. It was spoken to me by a dude in the basement of a house somewhere on base. He'll never know the impact of his words. And the phrase was, "Hey man, don't bogart the doobie." And that was just one life lesson I learned back then. We learned a lot about how to live from our experiences in the 70s, and some of those lessons came from our superior era of music, wouldn't you say? We heard Bob Seger sing about how a night moves, and we listened to Tom Petty. He told us even the losers got lucky sometimes, and we had heart, and Nancy Wilson, that is. And you know, the Rolling Stones educated us guys about some of you girls, and we never stopped believing. And we played Journey until our 8 tracks broke. And like pirates, we watched and searched for pieces of 8 on the river Styx, and occasionally may have partied too hardy and suffered from double vision, like Foreigner tried to warn us about. We memorized every word to Blondie's Rapture, and we sang along with Sting in our highest voices when he begged Roxanne not to put on the red light. We helped out Freddie Mercury with the background vocals to Bohemian Rhapsody, and we cracked a whip with Devo. Yes, our music was the best, and thanks to places like Chi-Town Records, we spun a lot of vinyl, played a lot of tapes. Sometimes we did that with headphones on. We shared those with our best buddy. Sometimes we couldn't help ourselves. We blasted them to the world through our cars as coaxial speakers and graphic equalizers. And speaking of cars, let's talk about them. It's like, hey, every car out there looks like a shoe or a boot. Very drab. Our cars had personality, design, and flair. We rode chariots, wild chariots called Stingrays and Mustangs and Broncos. We drove Firebirds, Celicas, Jeeps, MGs, Camaros, Triumphs, Pacers, Gremlins, Pintos. Or in Steve Picasso case, the Pinto seldom talked about cousin, the Mercury Bobcat, which preferred to be let loose at night and without his parents' permission. Sometimes we had to drive our parents' Cutlass or Caprice. Well, they had vinyl roofs, maybe those were cool, but even still, we had T-tops and spoilers and raised white letters and luggage racks, and if we were lucky, those louvers on the back window. Cars that we actually had to roll up the window with a crank. Disco may have sucked for some, but no matter how you slice it, it's not easy to dance Led Zeppelin or to roller skate to it. So we had to get our 70s groove on. We went to Funky Town. We danced our boogie nights away to songs like Night Fever and La Freak. We stayed alive, because that's the way we liked it. And for us guys, no matter what we were doing, we liked it better when you girls were around. You Oscoda girls were the goddesses of our youth. And I still, to this day, guarantee you, if right now at this moment, if you are sitting next to an Oscoda boy, they're looking at you the same way. Ladies, you had no idea how you mesmerized us all. Silky hair, parted down the middle, feathered back, Farrah Fawcett style, skin-tight sweaters, hip-huggered Levi's. We passed notes to each other, our crushes in the hall on a sheet of notebook paper that was folded in a very cool way. And on them we wrote from the heart, texting, please. We had to look each other in the eye. By doing that, we knew if we had a chance. Can't replace a real smile with an emoji, but we were not prepared for you then, and much later, all of us, I guarantee you at some point will have said, man, if I knew then what I know now. In 8th grade, I got such a one note. Actual note to Bill. It's a 2-page beating. I got broken up with by someone sitting in this room right now. I'm not going to tell you her name. But it rhymes with Vicky Meyer. I'll tell you this right now.
It rhymes
As I
with Vicky.
learned back then, and as I remembered from rereading this, it was all my fault. And you know, I should have learned back then from that note, because it would always be my fault. It still is my fault. Why didn't I listen? Anyway, I don't want you to think I embarrassed her. I gave her permission, or she gave me permission, and she read it. If you want to read it, you can see her later. Charge $1. That's fair. $1? How many of you give $1 and read that letter? Nobody? Yeah, one guy. All right. Maybe it's not that funny. Our uniforms of the day back then were provided by Babcock's, Foster's, Slack Shack, and we went to battle dressed in bell bottoms, silk shirts, pearl snaps, jean jackets, sometimes with patches shown on them, so keep on trucking or rub gently. We wore earth shoes or side zip boots. As always, we topped off our outfits with snow white puka shells. You know what? We look good. We look damn good. I wish I still looked that good. My favorite picture of every picture I've ever taken in my entire life, 8th grade picture, sparkling puka shells. It's on my phone. I regularly break it out. So you want to see what I used to look like before time beat me down like a stick? Here. I was a school teacher for 30 years. I showed that picture to my class. They, frankly, didn't believe it was me. I said, I swear it is. There's no way. There he is, no way. I said, well, I promise you. I also told my class I was Jackson Brown once. And I showed them an old video that kind of looked like me singing. I said, well, it was a long time ago. I used to be in the music business. They believed that, but they didn't believe it was my 8th grade picture. Our pep rallies were legendary. Packed gyms. On those fine occasions, we yelled, let's go blue, and rolled them up higher, and we cheered on our athletes and filled our gyms. Plus, it was cold outside. And gentlemen, today we will not discuss naked swimming. That subject has come up way too often. That was a pun. I wanted to go. But the next time you make eye contact with a fellow naked swimming survivor, you can just give them a knowing nod. Acknowledge that you've seen their wang. But back when it held so much promise and wasn't bent and angry with our life choices. We gave a hoot, we didn't pollute. We learned it took 3 licks to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop. We found out the hard way that Secret was strong enough for a man, but it was made for a woman. But then we said, screw that, we bought Secret anyway. And then we found out it was made for a woman, because when you tried to roll it on, that roll-on applicator pulled your hair under your arm. Lesson learned. Our heroes remain legendary to this day. Guys like Burt Reynolds showed us how to get the girl, and he was a case study in cool. Dr. J showed us all how to fly well before a dude named Michael Jordan came around. We had TV detectives like Mannix and Columbo and Kojak and Jim Rockford. They didn't need massive amounts of forensics or DNA profiles. They needed like a shoelace and a window that was left unlocked. They used common sense and deductive reasoning to bust the bad guy. They were tough. They always looked the part. They always got their guy. Then we graduated. It was all over. We moved on to places where we would do some adulting. Sometimes successfully. Others not. Some of us stayed connected. Sadly, some of us did not. But, you know, a few years later, we got together. And I came back for that. I had a blast, by the way. And some of us have been keep coming back. But, you know, it's fun to talk about the old times, but that's all nice, truly, but something else happened, which often doesn't with people our age, is we started making some new memories. A few of which I'm going to highlight tonight. We discovered Fireball, liquefied big red gum. Who knew, and it's a good thing that shit didn't exist in the 70s. Some of you rascals hooked up. Good for y'all. The rest of us did the best we could. We floated the mighty Oscoda. We jumped off the trestle bridge, just like we used to do when we were kids. So take that, Father Time. We enjoyed bonfires on the beach, which I have to say it's a wonderful way to spend an evening. A few of us met up in Vegas and went and saw Aerosmith. It was a blast. It's an incredible experience. I've been to hundreds of concerts, and let me just say, it was so much fun to be there with my Oscoda friends. Toys in the Attic never sounded so good. And speaking of Aerosmith, when I was in 8th grade, some dude told me that in the song The Last Child, that the lyrics went, "And the babes of Tawa City lie on the beach, and you're walking the streets." And I believed him, and I still don't know what the words are to this day. I just sing it like that. Is there anybody else that was told that? Just me? No. It's a conspiracy. Several of us learned that Max Spear cannot drive, and he's not here to defend himself, and that's even better. I know he would hate me for bagging on his driving, but I have never been so happy to be out of a vehicle in all of my life. When we came back from Mackinac Island, if you were in that car, raise your hand. I kissed the ground when I got out of that car. Seriously, I've ridden with Mac 3 times. Once, I thought I was gonna die. Once he got pulled over by an Oscoda cop, but did not get a ticket. The 3rd time, he got a ticket. Making memories, man. As a grown-up visitor to this city, I've been thoroughly introduced to a place that you like to call the office. When I was in college, we had the same thing. We called it the library. And I would like to take this time to clear up a few things from my guide. First, not one but 2 different ladies that left me that night on the dance floor alone, only because their men got jealous. It wasn't because I wasn't a good dancer. I was an excellent dancer. And then I got half a page about dry humping that my wife said I cannot talk about. But you know what? That's the original safe sex right there. Dry humping. It's pure Michigan right there. I'd like to mention the nice lady at 3 Pipes that volunteered to put sunblock lotion on my back during one of our canoe trips. She was really drunk. None of my friends would do it. It was not my fault that she was drunk and she tripped in the sand and her boobs fell out. I still got sunburn. You didn't do a good job. There'll be more memories, I'm certain. How exciting is that? It's rare that a group of people can make lasting memories that span nearly half a century. I mean, just a few years, right? Half a century does not sound correct. I'm certain that all of us will continue to be drawn to this place. The majesty of Lake Huron, the clear waters of the Oscoda River, the magnetic energy of our youth still rebounds around the pine and fir trees, especially through the halls of Oscoda High School. With that, I'd like to propose a toast. To Oscoda High School, the class of 1981. 40 years later, here we are. To good health and good times. Cheers to the friends around us and the ones who aren't. Here's to all of us. Oscoda Owls forever, everybody. We have another award to give away. It's for the...
Go there. That's Bill Flanagan, thank you. The perspective of Oscoda.